Lindsay Tanner, you've jumped into individual broadcast technology and may well be the first Australian politician to do so. How did you begin on YouTube?
Well, Australians' media habits are changing, and I want to make sure that I can communicate with constituents and people in the wider community, particularly younger people who are obviously getting into this kind of technology. It's cheap, it's pretty straightforward, and although what I've been doing so far is very basic, doesn't exactly have Hollywood values associated with the production, I'm looking for bigger and better things, and I'm hoping that eventually people will start to come to it in large numbers and we'll get a lot of dialogue going.
Good. What's more demanding, working out the technology or working out your message?
Well, technology for somebody like me who's not exactly a whiz kid can be a bit challenging, but the new digital video recorders are fantastic. They produce really high quality kind of video, and they're pretty simple to use. So I've actually been doing all this myself, just whacking up the tripod and putting the camera on it and clicking it on and nattering away. The content isn't that difficult essentially, because obviously I'm dealing with endless issues and material all the time, but actually being able to package it into 4 or 5 minutes and to be clear and coherent is not an easy thing. So obviously I have to put a bit of thought into that.
And I noticed that although you might give yourself a couple of prompting points so you don't forget something you really want to talk about, essentially you're doing this unscripted.
Well, I'd be lying if I'd say it was totally unscripted, because I'm dealing with issues that I might have already made a speech about somewhere or written something about somewhere in most cases. So
But there's no auto cueing.
That's right. Sadly, the technology doesn't extend to an auto cue just yet, and there's nobody up there holding up big cards or anything. But when you're a politician with some experience, you get used to making impromptu speeches all the time about issues that you know well. So it's really not that different from that kind of thing. I want to experiment with all different kinds of things, so I'd like to have more conversations with people. This is the first time I've actually done one where there's another person on camera. So it's great that you're able to do this. I want to do it in different environments. So there's all sorts of possibilities that I want to explore.
One of your broadcasts is about the perils of door-knocking constituents. Now, the 2 viewer responses so far haven't exactly been helpful. Are you finding that YouTube is just another forum for the public to snipe at a politician?
Look, inevitably I'll cop a bit of flack, and obviously this is just a toe in the water at this stage, so hardly anybody knows that I'm doing this, so by definition we're not getting many hits. We've had 100 or 150 on one of them for some reason, so obviously I think that a bit of word of mouth will create a bit of interest. But what I'm hoping to do is just gradually develop it into something that is more widely known, particularly in my electorate, and I'll get more responses. And inevitably some of them will be amusing, some of them will be abusive, some of them will be helpful, and I'll choose how I respond. I haven't yet got to the stage of organising responses so far, but that's kind of the next stage that Michael, my staff member, and I are working on. And I want to take it a step at a time, I suppose. Like, I don't want to go all fancy and razzmatazz and find that I make huge mistakes, so I'm just doing it gradually, because I think it's where politics is going to be within 5-10 years. You'll find that virtually every Australian politician will be doing stuff like this.
Any comments from your political colleagues so far?
I've only spoken to 1 or 2 of them about it, and I think the view is, yeah, that's a good idea. I've suggested to our kind of key players that having Kevin Rudd do some things direct on YouTube in the lead up to the election campaign would be a really good idea. The key thing that's different about this, of course, is these are customised to be put direct on YouTube. I think 1 or 2 other people are putting things like speeches on Parliament every now and then, in Parliament every now and then, up, but as far as I know, I'm the only one who's actually doing things specifically to put up on YouTube.
You spoke about the having perhaps made some speeches, so therefore not everything's entirely impromptu. However, there's an art you need to learn to condense very important issues such as childcare or workplace stuff down to a 4-minute broadcast.
It's certainly challenging. We do have a little bit of practice on this in Parliament, because we have 5-minute speeches for the adjournment where we get to speak on anything we like. So we're not unused to speaking about a major issue in a short period of time if we have to, but often it's not easy.
I hope this has been a more pleasant experience than being torn to shreds by Kerry O'Brien on the 7:30 report.
Well, so far so good. Thanks very much.
One last question, Lindsay. What would you do if Brian Burke invited you for a schnitzel parmigiana?
Well, I'd worry about my weight, I think, and I'd probably worry about one or two other things, but I've never met Mr. Burke, and looks like I'm unlikely to get that pleasure anytime soon.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, Steve.